All right, welcome to the Built on Air podcast. This is season 10, episode 2. Glad to be with you this Tuesday live. Excited to share what's going on with everything new in the Airtable world. Gotta be up high above the fold. So I'm Dan Fellers, founder of Built on Air and Onto Air, with you with quite a few hosts with us today. We've got Camille. Welcome again, Camille.
Hello.
And Allie back for the first time in this season. Welcome back, Allie.
Thank you. Hello.
Good to have you again for the new season. And we have a new face with us, Justin. Welcome, Justin.
Thank you.
Been on the podcast once before, but first time on the live episode. So glad you could join us. So as always, we have an hour-long show for you today. We'll go through 4 different segments, and we'll learn more about Justin and what he's up to later in the show. Do a quick, brief run-through of what we're going to talk about. We always start with Round the Bases, where we learn about what's going on in the Airtable communities. Then I'll talk about our primary sponsor, Onto Air. Then we'll learn more about Justin and him as an expert in the Airtable community. And then he will share with us a cool way to use interfaces. We'll then have another spotlight on our sponsor Onto Air, and then we'll stick with interfaces for today. And Allie will show us another amazing demo of how to use interfaces for your use cases. So all things interfaces today. But as always, we're going to kick off with Round the Bases and talk about what's going on in the Airtable community. So there was a big announcement that came out last night. I saw it through the Built on Air community. One of our friends, Rebecca, posted this, so I saw this. Did you guys all see this?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay.
What?
Yeah. So I'm going to hold back. I'm going to try to be civil in my words in this. So if you haven't seen it, there is a new update posted in their support. I don't know when it was posted. I don't think they mentioned it in the community. I don't know on this. Rebecca, if you're on live, let us know where you found it. But basically, starting January 11th is today. They're changing their pricing models.
Oh boy.
And so basically how it's working is there's some good and there's some bad things about this. So if you can keep your existing plan with you. So that's the one good thing. So if you've signed up before today, then you signing up basically today going forward is going to be faced with some new different tiers in their plans. So on the free plan, you can get 1 app per base.
Okay, that is one of the things I've suggested before. Okay.
Positive.
So that's decent. Now the question is, does scripting count as that base or not, or is that app? That I don't know if they specify that.
Let me open up a base that's on a free and see if I can add an app that isn't scripting.
I think this will only be for if you create a new user today. I think for your existing ones, you have to choose which model you want to go under. And I think it's account wide, not just per base. And we'll talk about why that is. So also on the free plan, you can use 1 sync integration per workspace, manual sync only. That used to be, you could have more, right? They were just all manual on the free.
1 per base. Per base, yeah.
Yeah, 1 per base. Now it's 1 per workspace.
Oh, God.
And then here's the other big change. 5 users with edit capabilities on the free plan, whereas it used to be unlimited, right? So that drastically impacts the free plan.
So a little con on that.
What's that, Justin?
A little bit of fun on that. The free plan changes there. It's cool you get an app. The collaborator level goes down. So it's like some good, some bad with that.
Yeah, you're a little breaking up there, Justin, with your audio. So yeah, that's going to have some significant impacts on the free plan. It doesn't look like they change any record limits. The plus plan is actually, if you were on the plus plan, which is probably like 2 people, the plus plan actually improves. So they're actually like automatically forcing everybody to this new model if you were on the plus plan, because you basically now can use 3 apps per base, which you couldn't use any apps other than the scripting app on the plus. And I don't know how many sync integrations you could use. That might be the same. So they basically are forcing all the plus people into this new plus plan. And I guess you're also getting branding capabilities in the forms. Now here's the real stinker on the pro plan, which most people are on. Now you can only use 10 apps per base. That's going to be a real stinker.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
Right. That makes no
what's-
sense. Now the question is, does that mean 10 apps or 10 installs of an app? Because if you're using like the charting app, does that mean you can only have 10 charts?
Right.
You know, or is the charting app considered one? That'll be interesting to see. 7 sync integrations per workspace, but bonus, you can use the Jira cloud, which I think used to only be for enterprise for all you Jira fans, which is very few people. So yeah, this is a pretty big change. I wonder if they posted about it in the community.
Yeah.
You check. Can someone check the community and see if there's a post about it?
Yeah.
A little bit in.
I don't see an announcement.
My computer is.
There's no post-in announcements, so they might not have added it yet.
It's not showing up.
Your camera's not in.
Interesting. There's some comments from the community. Scott has some opinions.
Yeah, it used to be 20 synced tables per base, and now they've cut that in half. And 7 external syncs are for the entire workspace, which seems very restrictive. So, yeah, some changes I like. I like that free bases can now have 1 app installed, presumably an app in addition to scripting, because that's already free. Or it's what I suggested many, many moons ago, that you get to pick which of the apps in the App Store you want installed. Many of the other changes are strange or bad. So I can see that they've made the Plus plan better. Before, there was like practically no reason to get the Plus plan. You got slightly higher record limits and things, but because you didn't have access to apps and you didn't have access to some of these other things, really wasn't worth it. Now it might be worth it to get a Plus plan, but the Pro plan, they've made less usable.
Yeah.
So
Well, I like what it's there.
Go ahead.
I like what it says there in the FAQ. Pro users retain access to the legacy Pro plan. So if you're already on, you don't change what you've got, but new Pro plan users get these new options.
So some clarification for me. pro workspaces as of yesterday were on the workspace level. You didn't have a pro account, you had a pro workspace.
Yeah.
Does that mean that if I create a new workspace now, that workspace won't have access to the legacy, or because my account is old enough, any new workspace I have has access to the old pro plan? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Thoughts, Allie?
I agree with Jan or Jan. I'm kind of baffled, and it's like, I think everyone, at least on this show, knows I love my apps, and it's like one of my favorite parts about Airtable, and I want to continue pushing it for people, but it's like, wait, what? I'm confused.
It really, the app thing makes absolute no sense.
Yeah.
For the
Why
pro
they would-
plan, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for the pro plan. Yeah. Why they would, it completely discourages me as an app developer, because what's the incentive now when, they've completely disaligned their third-party app developers from Airtable by cutting off. You want as many people as possible to be using apps.
Yeah, I want to know what the reasoning behind A, attaching a limit to it, and B, why the number 10 was chosen. Was it a performance thing where a lot of base is too slow because they had too many apps? But it seems arbitrary to sort of apply it to anyone in that particular level. Now you can only have 10, which is, it's really not that many apps when you consider a few things. The most chilling silence in all of Built. Yes. Yeah.
But it could
I didn't see this yesterday. This is news to me, and it's not great news.
You're getting live raw reaction here.
I'm hoping that there is some amazing, crazy news coming. Might sort of kind of offset this down, start the week off.
Yeah. And I mean, Camille, what you said about performance, like that is the only thing that I can think of that might be a reason behind it. Like I've recently this is an enterprise plan, so it might not matter, but I've got tons and tons and tons of apps. And a couple of times I've actually gone into a dashboard and I've seen it grayed out with a warning in it saying this app has been disabled to protect the performance of your base. Like it's like something's gone corrupt with it, and I've had to go and reload the app, and it happens with similar, like usually page designer app. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it does affect performance. Like that could be why they're limiting it, but still, it's like I don't get it.
A statement about the reasoning behind this would be nice.
Yeah.
So the enterprise plan should have no limits.
Right.
Just, if the pro plan is now worse than it used to be, essentially, or more restrictive than it used to be, then enterprise should let you do literally everything.
Yeah.
And not everyone wants to upgrade to enterprise. Enterprise is overkill for a lot of Airtable customers. I don't have any enterprise bases. So yeah,
So the price isn't changing.
Yeah, the pro plan is perplexing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the free plan, that one really hurts. Like a lot of people use Airtable as like, for nonprofits or churches or anything where you just have, like a spreadsheet that everybody can collaborate on. 1,000 records is more than enough for small little projects. It really hurts to limit the number of users on a free plan, because they're just losing that creative ability to learn Airtable and then say, hey, maybe I could use this for my work environment, and then in there I'll pay for it. Like they're losing that free channel. It's really going to hurt them long term.
Yeah, you're sort of pinching both sides of, Airtable users. So the free plan users who are maybe just starting out and getting to learn, or just have simple use cases in general, now they're being restricted. And then the pro plan users who have the more advanced or the larger teams, the more complex bases, they're being restricted. So it just and still has big limitations. And so we haven't hit, none of these changes are to tangible limits like record limits or attachment size, etc. But yeah, enterprise should fix every potential problem you could have with Pro then, if Pro is worse than it was yesterday.
No.
I'm bombing.
Yeah. Well,
I'm bummed.
it'll be interesting to see what kind of pushback there is. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'll definitely be reaching out to contacts I have at Airtable to try to get some understanding of reasoning behind this, and maybe we can get somebody on this podcast or other means to try to make some sense of this. So,
not to organize a mob, but next week is the Airtable's Table Talk, where they're going to do their own live show where they go over the roadmap for this year. You can submit questions ahead of time. You may want to ask a question or two.
That's on this Thursday, right?
I thought it was next.
That's
week.
today.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
For how many of those will have to?
Yeah, lots and lots of comments here.
Yeah, no one's happy, it seems.
with that lead announcement, we can move on to some other, maybe more.
Calm down.
We're getting the mob going.
Don't tell them I sent you.
All right, we'll see. We shall see. Okay, well let's move on for time's sake and maybe try to cheer people up. So in the BuiltOnAir community, we're starting to get a bit more active. Hannah, who works with me on OnTair and is active in the BuiltOnAir community, start a thread just to kind of see what everybody's working on. It's kind of cool to see everybody's kind of sharing. So if you're not in the BuiltOnAir community, join us. Lots of amazing people. Everybody here in this group is in there. And we like to see kind of check-ins. People like to share what they're working on. So there's some cool stuff in here of people sharing what they're building for the new year, fitness trackers, client projects, several consultants in here and whatnot. So check out the BuiltOnAir community, some cool stuff. I always like seeing Hannah. She always posts her stuff. And apparently Hannah has 4 tractors and multiple houses. So nice net worth tracker there for Hannah. All right. Here's one. Maybe get back into the weeds. Camille, I thought if you remember this one from the Airtable community, kind of a weekly reminder of working with dates and how that work. So the question is how do you get the figure out what week of the year it was? Do you recall this one?
Yeah. So by default, if you pick a date that's like the very, very last week of the year and January 1st of the next year happens to be in the same calendar week, the week number function by default will tell you December 31st is week 1. Well, it's not week 1, it's week 52 or week 53, depending on the year. So one way to sort of force it to always tell you the week of the year that date is in, not the calendar week, is to use date-time format. Date-time format has several date specifiers. So in this case, we're using a capital W to just give you the week of the year for the actual date itself. If you used a lowercase w, that would give you the same thing as week num would, the function week number. I think if you scroll down, someone else pointed out you could still use week number, but add Monday to the end. I forgot that was an option for that function. So I think either implementation would work. But you have a little bit more control with date time format because you can, if you wanted to say not just the week number, but the year as well, you can do that all in one function.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. I literally have a formula, like it says like if the week is if the week is 52 and the date is whatever, like I like add one or subtract or whatever. I have this whole big long thing to concatenate it. So that's really helpful.
Yeah, there's a few different specifiers that have to do with ISO dates. I should know what ISO really means. I don't really. It's a more standard version of displaying or relaying dates. It varies by country what the preference for, like the order you put the day, the month, the year. And then it also varies by country how you count weeks. ISO is kind of the international standard. That's probably what it stands for now that I've said it out loud.
International Standards Organization, I think.
There you go. So using ISO week will get you to where you get the actual week number.
I dig.
Yeah.
What's strange is that the official name is International Organization for Standardization. So like the letters are flopped.
That.
And that databaser is John, who's with us on the show. So he was the one that helped answer that one. So yeah, very good. Dates are always fun to work with, especially if you're in Europe like Jan is. That makes it even trickier to overcompensate for some weaknesses that Airtable has.
Yeah, and to sort of explain the reason why the second argument in week num is Mondays, because, colloquially we say weeks start on a Monday if you're in certain countries in Europe, and if you're in America, weeks start on a Sunday. So that's why the second argument is Monday.
Yeah, you could do a whole course on working with dates and date formulas. Speaking of courses, the next one from the Reddit Airtable community, somebody asking where is a good place to get online courses on Airtable? Where do you guys recommend?
So friend of the show, Scott, who was on recently, he has a pretty extensive course on LinkedIn, I believe. Someone in the comments of this Reddit post mentions Gareth Provenost, who has a pretty active YouTube channel with many, 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 many views. Justin, who's with us today, is all about that bass on YouTube, who has his own series of videos. And I don't want to speak for you, Justin, but you just started your own weekly newsletter. So I'll let you.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that later, probably.
Okay, never mind.
Working on a course all about formulas too. So.
Ooh. Yeah, Gareth also offers, on top of his free stuff.
Yeah, we used to do some training on.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's my connection. I was just going to say he also offers a mastermind course that's like a monthly thing and gives you access to a bunch of other stuff.
Gareth does, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, here's Scott mentioning his Learning Airtable and LinkedIn learning platform. So check that out. I'll put a plug in for Ben Green, who was mentioned in here. Yep. He's got some courses, and Jen Rudd also has a course on integrations that's out there. So several good friends of the show have training material that are worth checking out. So if you're looking for deep, some are free, some are paid, go check those out in different places. Let's keep going. Okay, another question from Reddit. Somebody, actually a friend of the show, at some point we'll get this team on, WhaleSync. They provide a tool to sync your Airtable data into other systems. Wrote a pretty cool article on comparing Airtable to Notion. So if you're interested in how those compare, this is a good article to check out about the differences between there. And that's one of the tools that they can sync your data to from Airtable when they launch. And then somebody else also posted a comparison with Fibery, which is another one I've looked at but haven't really played with. but kind of similar vein to Airtable. All right, this is a kind of cool show and tell. If everybody who's on an iPhone wanting to know how to kind of automate tasks, I guess iPhone has a built-in app that allows you to do that. So you can watch this video or this animated GIF that goes through how you can automate tasks that will populate your Airtable form straight using the shortcuts in Airtable. So a nice little tell there.
Do you know if that's the same thing? On last season, we had Rebecca on, and she demoed one of her projects. She was using her laptop, so I don't know if it's the same Apple feature, but she was able to no code sort of program an automated something, I think with shortcuts, maybe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the same thing.
Same thing. Possibly, yeah. Yeah, so that's good there. All right, and I think this is our last one.
Is everyone's internet not doing well today?
Is this about Data Fetcher?
I think because it's Andy Cloak, and Andy is the developer for Data Fetcher.
Exactly.
It is just frozen again.
Well, I can guess what this tweet is about.
Right.
And Scott was saying that yes, it was the same Apple feature, but she took it to the next level by layering Siri on top of it. So yeah, it was if you want an example of how someone could use something similar to that Reddit post, I recommend looking at an episode from last season with Rebecca on. And Dan is still frozen.
I think I'm back. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
There you are.
All right. Yeah, I've got some major. I think we're all having computer issues this morning.
John asked, "Is Airtable sabotaging the session?" We've seen too much.
But
Oh my God.
I was watching.
It might be.
Good news is I just got my internet back.
We moved. My set is taking forever.
Hmm.
And Dan's frozen again.
Well, in the meantime, Andy's
sandwich chat and what's coming up on screen.
What do we do?
Up there.
There we go. I'm back again. Okay, I'm gonna cut out for a second, but I'm gonna share Justin's stream, and if you guys want to interview Justin, I'll see if I can fix my computer in the meantime, and then Justin will have you go right after that.
Okay.
All right.
Well, hi, Justin. Welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you, Camille.
So you are one of the fixtures in the Airtable community forums. And like I mentioned earlier, you have your own YouTube channel and your various other Airtable-based help resources and consulting. Tell us a little bit about how you got into the world of Airtable.
I discovered Airtable almost 3 years ago. It was February 20. I found through a YouTube channel, video and stuff like that, and said, yeah, often, profile resources that are helping them out in their work. And it's, hey, we're trying this thing called Airtable. I'm like, oh, yeah, that sounds fun. So I dug into it, thought I'd do like one or two things, and then 2 days got a dozen bases and growing from there. So thing is, over time, I've really found that I enjoy doing this for years in a variety of other kind of realms is teaching and helping people understand how things work. So, and into the Airtable side of things, I decided over the past year, or delve deeper into that level of things. So, like you mentioned earlier, all about that base.tips, and sign up for the newsletter on there. It comes out every week on Friday. I'm trying to get back into the YouTube channel production, trying to do more stuff there, hoping to do a video every other week, roughly, around everything else going on. And then I'm trying to get back into other, online resources as well, getting back into more regular discussions on Twitter, Facebook, and things like that, just to engage more. And of course, continue to do things on the community forum as well.
Excellent. So, I'm sure most of the people who have browsed every now and again in the forums have noticed that the answers that you provide are not just sort of the base level answer to the question. A lot of times when I answer a question on the community forums, I'll just be like, here's a formula. Users like yourself, and also a friend of the show, Kavan, will do a little bit more explanation than people like I would, where you sort of talk about, well, here's the sort of things you need to consider, and here's where to look for more resources. What sort of inspires you to be so helpful for, just the sake of helping?
About why? It's hard to really get into that. I don't know. I've never did
This is therapy now.
Yeah, really. I think it's because I like to understand the features or whatever it is as completely as possible, and I feel it helps me to do better at that. And so as I'm learning about Airtable, to try to help them understand it at the same level, and not just about what could be done, why it works that way, and some of the deeper sides and things like that. So I like seeing, the newer concepts and between concepts. People, I think I mentioned, I'm sure, last Monday or whenever I sent that out. But helping people get a more firm understanding, go forward and do better stuff. I just love to do that for people. So,
well, that's just so nice. And there's a saying that like the best way to teach yourself is to teach others, or to demonstrate that you've truly learned a subject or concept means that you can teach it to someone else. And I'm sure it's very helpful for all of us, really, to once we start explaining things to other people, we get deeper knowledge about Airtable ourselves.
Yeah, and that's why I'm doing stuff with the newsletter and trying to go deeper on everywhere else, is just increase everybody's understanding of how this tool works.
Okay, great. Well, part of teaching people how Airtable works, you have something you'd like to demo for us today involving interfaces.
Yeah, so this has come up a couple times in the community forum. I sent out a quick little Loom recorded video to somebody a week or two back. But the idea ended a little bit different and try to simplify it a bit. That's something I'm always trying to do as well, is solution works, but how to make it simpler and more streamlined, more condensed. And I'm still learning things all the time myself from other users like yourself and Kavan and Scott and everybody community. I'm throwing there. So I appreciate everybody's input and helping everybody get better. So this idea here is, people pretty early on when interfaces came out wanted to know, can I use interfaces to add to my, it's primarily meant as or as an editor for, creating new records and things like that. People quickly threw around some ideas on how to get that pulled off, and so I'm going to demonstrate one possible way to get that done here. So let me actually flop over to my base. So this is a very simple kind of context I've got set up in here. And right now I've actually got one record hidden. This is out of the system here. But if I wanted to build an interface around all this stuff, I'll build the interface portion here in a couple seconds. But the idea behind this is using one record as a template for building other records, and then automation picks up on a change on that one template record and drives trigger automation, and you create a new record based off of those new values, and then reset the template record back to its original state. So I've got a filter turned on here. I'll just get rid of this. This is my kind of new template record I want to use to add things here, or my contacts table. And so it's all triggered based off a change I can make over here in the field right now. Record first off template. and say, okay, I want to now save this. I just check to add new, and that's an automation. So first off, let's get the actual interface set up and show how, and then build the interface after. Build the after that. So I'm going to start building an interface in here. I'll just call this editor. I can do anything special there. Just create a new one. I like to use record review option, way I can see like all my records over here, especially for things like cuts and stuff like that. Get a nice search field there at the top to make it easy to kind of find all that stuff. So I'll hit this. I'm gonna go from my contacts table exactly. Don't need anything specific here for the option. And I want to see pretty much everything in here. The name field there would be the very top, and the various pieces in there, including the option to kind of trigger all that stuff. So we'll hit next, and just contact editor. Call the first one contact for this, like all the interfaces for contacts table or base or whatever. Okay, so we get a lot of time, playing with the design of this thing. I'm not going to go into that as far as this demo, but what I need to do is basically delineate. I'm looking at all my contacts, or I'm looking at that one template contact, so I don't have to see this in here when I don't want to. So what I want to do for that is add a filter. Now, one of the things that not every new user understands is that you can add interface elements in here, not just to like the main in here, but also to the header right up in this space there. So I find that top area there, place to put a filter. So I want to go back to all elements in here, and now I can just click. I'm not even holding the button down. Simply click and drag. You can't do the click option, but I sometimes prefer just to click it and then get around and figure out where I want this to go. And so I can drop my filter right in there. And it's actually already set up nicely to say is the one I want to choose. And so I have to tie this, though, into this record size. So I click to filter an element and then click on a record list. And that filter will drive the records that are shown over here. I can get rid of that for right now. And if I want to preview this thing, so what I would do under kind of day-to-day use, I would say, see everything where it's blank. Or maybe on my template option for that. You have an option there for something like, maybe this is like a regular record or something like that. The blank option, apparently, I've tried to change this to not template, and that's everything in there. And so I can say when it is a template, there's my template record. Now I got to make things over here can be edited. So I just go in those, turn those all on the editable ones there, including my option single select right down in there. I probably drag this over to like the far side or something like that, so it's kind of out of the way of the main data. But to kind of use to drive the stuff. So we'll go back into the base and there. So there are a couple different ways the automation could be set up. I'm going to show you kind of the manual process. I'll go to script. I'm making it available to anybody that watches the video today. If you want to do an automation script-based way to do this. So the manual process is set up here is this both manual or the script-based version. So my copy template record. When record matches conditions, I'm going to pick my contacts table, and then I want my option to be the add new. Only when that one is set will have this thing. I know it's going to work, so I'm not going to testing it for right now. For a lot of automations, you want to make sure you test your different steps, test your trigger to make sure you can get the data you want in later steps. Actually, I'll go ahead and probably do that now. I can minimize this section over here. So it's already on there. I'm not actually, no, it is. Change this over to add new, run the test, and that should pick up that record. And I can check in here and look and see, check my field values. Yes, it's the one that has enter contact details there, so I know I've got the right one. So I can go back in here, next step, and this is going to be, first off, create a record. So in my contacts table, and I just want to start adding fields in here. So add first, that's going to come from the first name field from my source there. So I click on first to insert that and do the same thing for all the other fields. And thankfully, I've got only a handful of fields to do that with in here. This is where it gets really cumbersome, though, if you have lots and lots of fields. My actual main contact base has like 20 or 30 different fields. So I would not want to do this manual setup for a system like that. Throw that, and then E. These are all pulling from my ordering step in there. That's all we need to set in there. It's just an email, the main kind of fields that we need to copy. So if I wanted to again see how that'll work on a test, so it creates that thing. And now I didn't have anything set in there. So if I again, and let's say I want to go new person. That now to make sure this gets picked up, I got to go back a trigger step, retest the trigger again, and that should pick up the data that thing. Let me just confirm that down in here. A new person in there. Now I can go down into my test, creates a record again, and now a new record gets made with that stuff. What I need to do is reset this record back to its default, and including resetting the. So I add one more action to date the record that was triggered. So it's also contacts. The record ID is the one from my trigger step in here. And then I update all those same fields and just leave them in there. If I just leave nothing in this field, the cool thing is Airtable just blanks it out. So I can pop first, pop last, email, and then for my option, make sure that one is set. Now, unfortunately, I got to type it out manually. What I want to do here is say template. And now I can again test this out, run a test on that, clear out the contents of that record there. So that's all set to go. So I can expand that out, and now we'll go back to the instance from there. And now in here, what I want to do is have a filter on this so I don't see that template record most of the time. So I'll just add action in there to say where option is not template. So back over in interfaces here. So I want to say, I should do my preview again. So set that to template. And so right now I'm editing the template. And so I can say I've got some other person here. And then I just from template add new. It will copy things. It disappears from over here, but it'll reappear once all that copying has happened. And there we go. Our template's reset. I switch this back to is not, and I can see my new person and my other person both down in there. And I haven't had to leave this to jump back over to my table and do things like that. So you can do both editing existing records and the creation of new records through this kind of automation here.
Very nice. And because you only really have one template record, it's not going to affect your record limit too much. It's just one extra record. But presumably you can set up this automation to take multiple different types of templates if you wanted. You could say maybe template 1 is the name of the option and have that tied to one automation, and then have a second template that has a little bit more, maybe it only copies certain fields, whereas template 1 copies all of the fields, that kind of thing. Pretty flexible implementation.
Yeah, you have options as many different single select options you want to throw in there to do different kinds of things with the records.
Yep. And it's you're using a strategy that I think a lot of us here like is when triggering automations, the instinct a lot of the times is to use a checkbox field, check this box to run an automation, but it's very easy to accidentally click a checkbox. By using a single select field, it's a much more purposeful action. It allows you to add text. You can color code. It's actually a very, nice way of using a particular field type if you can't use a button.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great way of triggering all kinds of different things for scripts to run in the background to do certain things and whatever you want to do. So yeah, I love that option for triggering stuff.
Great.
Very, very cool.
So, and as I promised earlier, I want to
back.
script version. So again, if you have lots of fields you want to copy, I've written a simple script that sets it up so you can copy non-calculated. So any manual entry field just finds all those, copies those to the new record, and then resets the template. So if you want to go for that, go to my website, allaboutthatbass.com/interface-template script. There's a link on there and a little demo video showing you how the whole thing works. And so it's a free script anybody can use to do that more advanced version. Not have to worry about setting up every single field in the automation.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Very nice.
We'll put that in the show notes to share that link.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Camille, for driving that while I was out.
You've returned.
Hopefully for a little bit. I'm still nervous about my computer, so I'm not gonna do a plug for OnToAir for fear that the demo will crash my computer. But check out OnToAir. It's a great tool, suite of apps to run your business on Airtable. But we're gonna skip that. But check out the new Amplify. We upgraded it earlier this month or at the end of December, and lots of new features that we'll show eventually in this podcast. But with that, we're gonna skip that, and then we're gonna keep with interfaces. And Allie, if you wanna, let's see if your screen share works.
All right.
We'll have you share with us your cool stuff that you're working on.
Okay. Let's see.
There you go.
Perfect. All right. So this is a base that I've used for demos before. It's all completely fake data. It's showing I'm getting all my paychecks from Wayne Enterprises. So call me Batman. All right. So this is something that I just set up in my real base that I use to track all my income. And I wanted to be able to easily get a running total so that I could use that for, reconciliation at the end of the month, etc. And I'm sure a lot of people are familiar that Airtable actually does have a script that you can use, just a sample script that will give you a running total in one field. But I like this option better because it gives you a lot more flexibility. So essentially, I've got my table here of months, and everything is linked to, I have income and expenses on different tables. So that way I'm able to get all this data about net income, gross income, how much I've spent, etc. But if I want to know what my total is at the end of that month, in addition to everything I've earned from the months prior, I set up an automation that at the end of each month, and of course this stops in 2021, so it will never run again, technically, it goes and it finds all the previous months. And let me show you what that looks like. I have this automation set up, and right now I've got it where month end is yesterday or link to previous months is checked. So I just had it to force it for past months. I have a little checkbox. If I was thinking, I would have made it a single select. But this is a temporary fix because I'm probably going to delete that field anyways. And essentially, just a little script runs that goes and selects everything from a particular view in my months table, and that's just filtered to show everything that's in the past. And if I was going to trust that 100%, then that would probably be enough. But I am also filtering it just to make sure. So I'm saying, all right, where the date of my start month that triggered this record is, the other way around, where my end date is greater than the start date of each month. And then I just update the record that triggered the automation so that I've got everything that came before it in that linked record field. And that's able to give me this field here. So if I look at it, you can see it's kind of like a cascading. So January is just like January, February is linked to both, etc. And then that lets me get a roll up of any value that I want for each one of those months. So I can quickly get a running total, and that I'm just grabbing my gross income. I could do this with net income, see how much I've spent throughout the whole year, etc. But the coolest thing that affords me, in my humble opinion, is if I'm looking at my interface, you can see January, I haven't earned anything yet. But as I start going through this, each month, I can watch my chart grow.
It's like it's animated.
Right? So it's kind of cool. And this is with my gross income, but I could do the same thing with like net, which that would go up and down probably quite a bit more. So let's say net. Yeah, and you can see that's going to go pretty low. I guess it does go up each month, but this is all just fake data. Let's go back into interfaces. And I can add another chart. So from that, I'm just using the previous month's linked record field and then adding a chart right out of that, dropping that in there. And then I can use, I want my name to be the x-axis, a field summary. And we'll go with running total net sum. And we'll make that a line chart. And now we can quickly see, we'll put those next to each other. Go back to preview. So they're a little bit different, but pretty cool.
Yeah. Very nice. So one of the sort of questions that comes up a lot on the community forums is how do you do running totals? And this is a fairly simple way to do it. I know your solution involves using a script, but as we saw, your script was only something like 40 lines long, and most of those 40 lines were setting variables. So
exactly.
It's not a very complex script, and you may be able to get away with using the find record step to get you the list of that filtered months, assuming filtered months is less than 100.
Right. Exactly.
So,
yeah, you could get away with exactly what Camille said. You could just select everything on this view and then update the record that triggered the automation. But once you get a few years, I don't know how many years, I can't do math right now. But yeah, so fairly simple.
Nice.
Yeah, very cool.
Nice little trick to utilize interfaces to create running totals. Very cool. Thank you, Ali. I think everybody's going to go home depressed now after the show.
Yeah. Our internet didn't work. Airtable's pricing plans got strange.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, it's cool. Good to be with everyone. Justin, always good to have you on, and cool stuff that you're working on.
Appreciate it again.
Where can people find you if they want to reach out to you?
I am at allabouthatbase.tips. Got a contact form there. You can subscribe to the newsletter, and that's my home base.
Nice.
Pun intended.
That's right. Lots of puns on this show for sure. We're good with that. All right. Well, thank you. Glad to be with you, and we will be with you next week. Hopefully, I'll get my computer fixed by then, and we'll have more fun stuff to share with you and see what everybody's built on air. Take care.